plants are living things. You know, people are living things. I'll tell you about a study by a man named Ematsu. Ematsu, a Japanese man. And he was, there's two versions of this. I don't know. We'll talk about the ice experiment. This is the Ematsu ice experiment. And Ematsu was curious if different emotions and if different sounds could affect the freezing of ice. If you know anything about ice, ice is water, like you drink, and then as it freezes, the molecules slower and slower, they slow down, they're slowing down toward like zero, movement, and they start to form crystals as they bond to one another. And so you have this crystalline structure, and it's again slow. So, and finally, when you're looking at like ice, like an ice cube or ice off the block or an iceberg, it's really just like these tightly packed crystals, that are formed of the water molecules. And so Ematsu, first thing, like if you had a freezer and you had a cup of water, and you take and you put the cup of water into the freezer, and then you just let it freeze, then you would end up with like an ice cube, like you have in your refrigerator or freezer right now. The same cup of ice, the same cup of water, if you put it in the freezer and then you run like a microphone into the freezer and then you start talking to it, right? And you say, "Oh, baby ice, you are the sweetest, most beautiful ice ever. Ice, I love you. Ice, you did so well today. Ice, thank you for doing what I want you to do. Ice, I deeply respect you. Ice, I respect your individuality. Ice, ooh, ice, ice." You can just talk to it nice for a while. Then that ice freezes and it forms the most beautiful crystalline structure. The ice is more beautiful than the ice that had nothing. It's more beautiful because there was the nothing ice, like you got out of the freezer when you wanted a Coke or whatever, and there's ice that's been talked to, like sweetly, and it's the most beautiful ice. When you look at it, it cleaves just nicely. It cleaves down the like the center, like a diamond. And well, now you take the same cup of water, the same amount of water, and you put it in the same freezer. And now you still have your microphone leading into it, and it has the speaker in there, and your speaker's close to your ice, and you get next to your ice, and you start talking to it. "Hey, fuck you, ice. Fuck you. Fuck you, ice. You're a nasty cunt, whore, bitch, woman. I don't know, cunt. Shake that ass, nasty cunt, bitch. Fuck you. I don't know. I want to fight you. You're terrible. You're ugly. You're a whore. I don't know. You don't have enough money, ice. Ice. Your clothes suck. Ice. Ice. I don't know. Yeah, you're not intelligent, ice. Ice. You're stupid." You talk to the ice for long enough as it freezes, and then you open up the freezer, and guess what you find? You find what's called ugly ice. And the ice is misshapen, and the ice has the crystals are fucked. The crystals do not grow well, and there's little blocks of ice that are very, very hard, and there's little blocks of ice that are barely even crystalline. They're just kind of out there. And when you cleave it, the idea of trying to break this ice, it gets all weird and nasty. It's the ice that you don't want, that's at like the bottom of the freezer. It tastes terrible. I don't know. There's not enough bad things we can say about this ugly ice because it is not the way that we like ice. We like pretty ice, and we like ice that cleaves well and has pretty crystals. And this ice is gross. And the reality of life. Okay, that's the first. That's the Emoto experiment. Second experiment: plants. Mm. Plants need two things to grow. Most plants mm. need water and they need sunlight. And we won't talk about the water or the sunlight and how much and what plant, what crop or whatever. But I think this was with corn or something like it. Certainly with like a fleshier, more receptive plant, with like big leaves. And all things being equal, you take one, two, three plants. And here's one plant doesn't hear anything. And I take one plant and I talk to it. Hey man, you're a beautiful plant. I hope you grow. You are growing. You are growing so well, plant. Plant, I love you. Plant, you're wonderful. Plant, you're so green. These luscious cell walls. Oh my, look at your xylem as a tree, xylem and flow. But look at your plants. You're, oh God, you're so beautiful. I respect you. I care about you, plant. I look at that sunlight, it's here for you, and so on. I mean, you can do this forever. And it's growing next to the one that doesn't hear anything. And then there's the other one. And of course, now for this plant, by the way, the second plant, I play music for it. And they play violin, jazz, smooth jazz, soft ladies singing, sweet music. And maybe the sound of a church choir or something like somebody playing an instrument. It's all the same. The experiment's been done a lot of different ways. That's one classification of the quality of what the plant is receiving, different than the one that received nothing. It was just kind of thrown in the ground. And that plant grows so beautifully and so wonderfully. And what happens is that the water intake is reduced. It doesn't need as much water to grow. And it takes in as much sunlight. It becomes it grows bigger and taller when you treat the plant well and when you, and specifically sonically, you care for your plant. And then there's the third plant. And there's always that part of the experiment where you find out the effect of negative communication on the plant. And so you take the third plant, you talk to it dirty, fuck you, plant. Plant, I hate you. Plant, I'll kill you, plant. Plant, I hope you die a terrible death. Plant, you're too fat. Plant, you're not smart. Plant, you're an idiot. Plant, you have no place here. Plant, any number of things you want to say to the plant. You play loud rock music for the plant, or rap music, and I like loud rock music, and I like rap music. It's I don't know, but if you listen to the words sometimes, the intention that is being delivered sonically to whatever is receiving it is not good for growth. That plant tends to either end up as a dwarf plant or it dies. That plant dies. There's a normal plant that's called the control in this experiment, and it grows normally. And then there's the variable, which is the music, and that music that's nice, and the conversation that's nice, beautiful plant grows tall and beautiful. And the third plant just dies when you talk to it poorly. Yeah. And when you play loud, offensive music for it. These are facts. So we really have to think about how we talk to people, because plants and water, and this is debatable, plants and water, they're like living things. They certainly exist in our biosphere in a way that, the one relies on the other, and we all kind of get along in the chain of life. And people exist in that environment too. And when you talk to plants and they grow, it's like if you talk to people correctly, and you support them and you love them, then people will grow in the right way. And it's like the ice; they'll, each day they will, I don't know, have prettier crystals in their head. I don't know, something like that. And when you talk to people poorly, you end up with one, ugly ice. Fuck you ice. You end up with fuck you ice. Or two, you end up with a plant that has died. And if you treat people poorly, if you say to them, I don't like these things about you, you berate them, you embarrass them, you have nothing nice to say about what they're doing, if you don't respect the existence of the plant dies, the ice is ugly and misformed and malshapen, and so is a person. So you gotta talk to people nicely. That's, kind of the old rule, but scientific evidence upholds the idea. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. You know, it's part of freedom of speech, the freedom not to say anything.